Hey everybody, this is Lauren on the education team here at Tripleseat. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to get on the webinar here and learn a little bit more about the tools that you have available to you. So in this webinar, we are going to start right off in the settings page. So this is ideal for people who are admin users and have access to settings, but even if you're not an admin user yourself, feel free to stay on today and learn some tips, and you can bring those back to your manager to implement them. So we'll just get right to it. So over here on the settings page, like I said, you do have to be an admin user to have access to the full settings page. Some of you might have a specific user role that allows you to see only some of these features. So if I go over something and when you go to settings, you don't see it, that just means it's restricted for your user role. So go ahead and ask whoever is in charge of your site to give you access to it if you think it's something that you should have. So I'm going to talk about the general settings here. So today we're just going to do the general settings, and then I will call out a couple of things below here that you might utilize. But for the most part, we're going to stick up here in the general. So first place I'm going to go is your location settings. So this is where the details of all of your physical locations will live. So if you in your group or on your account you have more than one location, you're going to see multiple locations listed here. For this example, I just have the one. But if I go into edit details here under Blue Water Restaurant, that's where I can see all of the basic info about my venue. So if you ever did need to make an update to your phone number, or you have a new logo that you want to upload, put in a fax number, anything like that, that would be done here. You can also manage a banner image, and this is a really nice way to add a branding element to your site. The banner image appears on some of your client-facing images. So if you're using an external lead form or your guest portal, any of your documents that you're sending over to clients, they're going to have this banner image displayed here. So that's a nice way to add a personal touch to your site. It makes it look really nice. And then below here, lead notifications. So this is where you'll control who on your team should get those email notifications when a new lead has been filled out on your website or anywhere that that lead form lives for you. So it's really straightforward. Just check off the names of anyone that should get the email, and you can come in here and check and uncheck different people at any time. And if you make any changes there, just hit update. Other thing you can do right here from this page is organize your rooms. So here's an example of all the rooms that this venue has. And you can see that some rooms are nested underneath others. And what that means is that they're a part of the larger space. So here, as an example, the buyout, if I book the buyout, it's going to automatically take the Tuscany room, the vintage room, patio, the main dining room, including all the sections of the main dining room. But it doesn't include some other areas. Like I have a separate lounge. I've got a place, a slot that I'm putting in my delivery or my offsite events and pickup. So it's not going to affect those, but everything underneath it will. And then to take it a step further, the main dining room can be broken up into 3 separate rooms. And all you have to do to organize any rooms that you already have are just drag and drop into place. All right, let's go back to that settings page. And then I want to pull up preferences here. This is another area where you can make some, whoops, if I could get in there, there we go. Another area where you can make some changes to the site. Keep in mind, if you have a group of restaurants or locations grouped together, a change that you make in site preferences is going to affect everybody. So just keep that in mind. Small changes that you can make in here that can make the site easier for you to use and look at and visually make things more appealing. Calendar start time. This is great for, say you're a restaurant and you don't open till 5 p.m. So to have your calendar set first thing in the morning is a lot of wasted space on your calendar page. So here you can adjust the time. It doesn't mean that you can't book events outside of that. It just means that when you look at your calendar, that's the window that it's going to show by default. You can also set up if you want to show guest counts on your events on the calendar. Calendar start date is another great tool. You know, I like a Sunday start date. And then we've also got your integrations. that you have synced up. So if you're using Constant Contact, MailChimp, or Fishbowl, you can come right here and anytime and just look at when the last sync occurred and any changes that were made. And if you do have an account with any of these email integrations, but you're not using it yet, this is also where you'll come to link it up. So you can just click on Constant Contact and it will ask you for your account information, your password. You'll press sync and then it will start every night syncing your contacts automatically. The other thing that's in here, the event status rules. So I don't encourage people to play around with these too much, but they are here to manage if you need to manage them. By default, the way we set up all of our accounts is prospect events can overlap with other prospect events. So, you know, if that's part of your business model where you're going to allow to put some events on the calendar before any are considered definite, just to see who gets back to you first, that's a great setup for you. For the most part, once events are tentative, like once you've sent a contract out, or of course, if it's definite, if you have a signed contract and deposit, you're not going to allow it to overlap with any other events. So that's why I like to stick with just prospect events overlapping, but it is a status that you can adjust if you have a specific business model that would require something different. And then the other thing I want to bring to your attention is this really cool new feature that we've just rolled out. It's called the waitlist status. So it's available to everyone. You just have to come in here and enable it. So again, we're just in preferences, and then I would check the box to enable the waitlist status. And what that's going to let you do is book events. You'll mark them as waitlist, and it will count for you, you know, waitlist spot 1, spot 2, etc. And that way, if you have an event but it falls through, you'll get a notification that says, hey, this event, you moved this one to lost, but just so you know, there's this next event on your waitlist is now available for booking. So that's a great way to keep track of, you know, multiple inquiries for the same day if that's something that you're used to dealing with. There's a couple pages actually under preferences. So if you tab over to drop-downs, all of these drop-down lists here, these are the drop-downs that you're seeing throughout the site and where you can manage what options are available. So for example, when you're filling out an event, you're probably always using that drop-down menu with the different event types. And this is where you're able to put in new event types. So if I wanted to add something else, I would just add another event type and put anything in here I wanted to, like say, for example, French buffet. So go ahead and add event types. Just keep in mind, like we said, if you delete something from here, just know that you're deleting it for the whole group. So just be mindful of what you're putting in and taking out, because it is going to be available for everybody on your team at all the venues. Payment methods is another place where you might like to put in something specific, and then lost reasons. So if anyone who hasn't seen this feature yet, this is relatively new. When you mark an event as lost, you do have an option to use a drop-down menu, which is great for reporting. It just keeps things consistent. So, you know, in the past, you were writing in a freehand text box, went to a competitor or didn't have the right budget. So what you can do now is load those in as drop-down fields. So it just eliminates that, you know, the user variation, and someone might have written didn't have enough budget, or someone else might have written budget too small. Now you can kind of get those all into the exact same reason and report on them nicely because they're standardized in that drop-down list. All right, let me head back to the settings page here. I've seen a question pop in, so let me see what we have here. So Taylor has asked, if you have multiple locations, can you change the calendar start and end times for each location? Great question. So it will change everything. Any change that you make in the preferences section right here, it's going to be group wide. So just keep that in mind when you're making changes in there. All right, let's talk about users. So to add a user, very simple. All of your accounts, they're all unlimited users, so you're not getting charged by user. You can feel free to add anybody on your team that wants to log into Tripleseat. And I really encourage you to have a login for every person on your team that would ever come in here. It's great to get as many people as you can logging in here. You know, of course, sales managers, they're going to be in here every day, looking at the calendar, booking events, and but getting those other people on your team that might not be sitting at a computer anyway is great, because you can use Tripleseat on your phone. You can sync your Tripleseat calendar to any other calendar. So go ahead and make a login for those people in the back of the house, your front of house team, your managers, bar managers, hosts, anybody that can log in here and get the information for themselves is a huge benefit to you, because what's in Tripleseat is always up to date. It's always the most recent version. So it's just a great way to keep the whole team up to date with events. So to add a new user, all you have to do is go into users, and then you would click new user. And there's a couple of contact fields to fill out: name, title, email address. One thing to keep in mind is 2 users cannot share the same email address. So, if you are info@yourrestaurant.com, you can't add another user and have their email be info@yourrestaurant.com. So either come up with another generic or just use their personal email, but it does have to be a different email. And then what you'll be able to do is check off any locations that you want them to see and what their role should be. And we're going to go into roles in a moment. Now, for people that have a group of restaurants, there's a lot of cases where you've got a user that primarily works at one venue, but you do want them to be able to see what's going on at the other venues. So at their home store, you might want them to be able to create events, book events, put in leads, you use all the features, but you just want them to really see what's going on at the other stores. So give them a default role, like say they're a power user or general user. I might make them a general user at Blue Water. That's where they work primarily, but I also want them to see what's going on at Your Service Catering. So at Your Service Catering, they only have view-only privileges, but at Blue Water, they have their default role, which is general user. So that's a way to give people access to see really only what you want them to see. Now, going a little more in depth on user roles. So this is where you can manage what the different people on your team have access to in Tripleseat and what they can see. So when your account first gets created, we load in there about 5 roles. And those are just set up to, show you what the choices are, inspire you on what the different roles can be. So you can feel free to use those roles that are in there. You can tweak them a little bit, or you can come in here and create a brand new role that's specific to somebody on your team. Let's talk about admin first. So an admin user is going to have access to all of the settings on the site. So on this settings page that we have here, they're going to be able to create users. They're going to be able to see all of the accounts and contacts, edit them. They have full access to all of the events, leads, tasks, the calendar, and reporting, as well as the file library. Now, if you have someone on your team that maybe they book events and you want them to be able to do everything within an event, and maybe there's a couple settings that you want them to have. Like, for example, you want them to go in there and be able to edit your pick list, but you don't want them going in and adjusting your documents or changing your tax rates. So I find a lot of times that it's helpful to make a power user role, or you want to call it sales manager, or whatever makes sense for you to call it, that allows for some settings. So I can click in right here to give them access to the settings page, and then I can be specific and pick and choose what I want them to have. So for example, I want this person to be able to edit pick lists, and maybe I want them to create email templates, but that's about it. I don't want them messing my forms and views. I don't want them handling my sales tax rate or anything, just those 2 things. So that's a way to give some privileges kind of a la carte, if you will. And user role, this might be someone that, say for example, they work in operations, they're executing the event, so you want them to log into Tripleseat and see everything that's going on, but maybe they're not creating the event. So your sales team is creating the events and this general user is just viewing things. So let me kind of go into the different drop downs once you get into each of these categories. So events, for example, if you open this up, you can see there's lots of choices. So view events, this just means that they're only able to view events that other users have put in the system. Create events is going to mean that they're viewing all the events and then they're also creating their own. Edit all events means they can edit any event, whether they created it or it was created by someone else. Delete events is a step up from that. So it's everything before, and it also gives them the option to delete an event. And then administer all events is the highest privilege on events. So you can change events that have been closed. You can edit or delete other people's events. There's really nothing about an event that you can't do because you're an administrator on events. And then you can even toggle on and off if this person should be able to put discounts on events or do refunds on events. And then it's a very similar setup with leads here. So, you know, someone that doesn't see leads at all, someone that just looks at them, someone that can input them, and then someone that can edit them. Go farther and delete them. So they go in order of how much privilege they have, starting with no access, all the way up to the highest is the ability to even delete a lead if they wanted to. Calendar is just a one-stop setting. There's really nothing, it's either they can see it or they can't. Now let's talk a little bit about documents and the forms and the views. So you have to specifically say which users are going to have access to which views on your site. And on that same note, if you create a new view, you have to make sure that you go into all your user roles and check it off so that anybody on the team that needs to see it can see it. So as an example, this person here, they can view the contract and event order template that's been created on the event. And then once it's been created, they're also able to see what populates in the BEO, the invoice, menu, kitchen sheet, contract, and proposal. So say this was someone in my back of house team, and I didn't want them to see all this. I only wanted them to see specific things. What I might do is say, okay, they're not even going to look at the template. I just really only want them to see once a sales manager has created the contract and event order form, I only want them to see the menu and the kitchen. So that's how you can do that. And then if you have different things, like maybe you have a catering version, go ahead and check those off as well. Any other different types of forms and views that you have, you want to kind of scroll through and make sure that each user role has access to the correct documents. So 9 times out of 10, when somebody says, oh, I can't see the menu, or I can't see the BEO for this event, it's because they haven't been checked off for their specific role to see that. Okay, so I think I see some questions coming in. So let me jump out of here, take a look at what questions are coming in that are related to user roles or anything that we've gone over so far. I'm just going to kind of scan through the questions and see if there's anything about what we just talked about, but I will I'll certainly get to any that aren't on topic at the very end. Okay, great question. Alicia has asked what access is included in general role. And the reason that's a good question is because it will get set up for you when your account is first created, but you really want to go in and go into your settings, look at your general user role, because there's a chance that it's been modified by an admin user at some point over the life of your account. When a site first gets created, typically a general user is just by default going to have options to see the calendar, and see any document views that are associated with your contract template. So, you know, like if you have a BEO, kitchen, contract, and I'm saying these because they're the most common, but every new account that gets set up, they're going to have some customizations in the document. So it's really not possible to say, hey, general user always gets this. I can tell you how we set it up by default, but it really is something that you just want to take a look at and see if any customizations or changes have been made since the account was created. All right, so that seems to be it on users. Any other questions before we go on? All right, okay, I think that's it on that topic. Let's go over to automatic tasks. So this is a great feature for reminding yourself and your staff to anything that needs to get completed in the booking process, or even something that you want to ask your guests to complete by a certain date. So a lot of you have probably used tasks on an event. Let's go into an event really quick and just take a look at the tasks page so you know what I'm talking about. So in any booked event on your task page, you'll see your tasks here. And there's 2 ways you can get a task in here. You can just come right into an event and say, okay, I've got a task specifically for this event. I want to order 2 cases of Stoli vanilla a week before the event. So that's something really specific that only applies to this event. And I'd set my due date there. And I'd assign it to either myself or maybe somebody else on my team. Now, if you have tasks that apply to pretty much all of your events that you just want to pop in here automatically at certain stages in the booking process, you can create what we call auto tasks. So these are great for things like, get final head count. Maybe that's just standard for you to get that 2 weeks prior to the event date, or send out a thank you note, and that's your standard something that you're going to do for every event a day after the event. So what you can do is in your settings, create an auto task, and then that's going to come up automatically. So here's all the auto tasks that we have here in this demonstration account that we have already sent out, or already set up, excuse me. So let me go in here and show you one that's already set up first. So guaranteed guest count, great example. The name of it is guaranteed guest count. The action is to call the client and get a guaranteed guest count. What we have here that's important is the trigger. So these tasks are going to pop up based on a trigger action that's also happening in Tripleseat. So for this specific task, it's event status is changed to definite. So this means that I want on all of my definite events, every time I turn an event definite, I want to make sure that I get the guest count. And what I have for a due date is 7 days before the event date. And you can play around with this any number of days that you want, or maybe it's something that happens after the event date. So maybe it's a thank you email and it's going in 1 day after the event date. And then if it's not based on the event date, it might be based on the trigger action. So let me think of an example of that. Could be something like, I want to follow up to see if the contract was signed. So that's something I'm going to do 4 days after my trigger action. It's not really related to my event date. It's related to whenever I said, hey, this event is definite. So that's why I want to follow up based on the trigger action rather than the event date. And then the other thing you do here is you set up which locations this applies to if you have more than one, and then who's going to be assigned the task. So I feel as though 90% of the time it's the event owner. So whoever is the owner on the event is going to assign the task. There's also the option to assign it to a particular person. So say that I always want my assistant, Kate Kennedy, to do this. I'm going to assign it to her. And that's always going to send this task to Kate Kennedy, regardless of who the event owner is. And then there's also the option to send the task to whoever triggered the task. So in this case, it would be whoever changed the event to definite would be the one getting assigned the task. And a lot of times that's overlap. That is the event owner, or it is the person here that you want it to be the particular person. So you don't have to fill out all of these. You know, if it's just standard, like, okay, it's mostly just me and then this other person that I work with and we both create our own events, then just leaving it as event owner is totally fine. So if you wanted to create a brand new task, you would just go to new automatic task up here in the corner, and then that's going to give you a blank. So you can fill in whatever name, location, triggers and dates and assignees that you want associated with that. Okay, let me just check the questions real quick. Okay, so let me just review that. For Courtney, there was a question about the example is, I want to make an automatic task of a final payment 7 days before the event date. So let's do exactly that. So let's walk through that from start to finish. So I went to settings, automatic tasks, new task, and this is going to be final payment, due, say, for example, and then task body can be pretty similar, collect final payment from guest. Okay, so 7 days before the event date. So first thing I need to do is choose a trigger action. So for something like this, the most common used trigger is the event status is changed to definite. I mean, it's not related to a lead, so we're going to skip that. You could say event created, but some of those events don't fall through, or they never make it past the prospect stage. So that's not really specific enough for us in this case. It's really just events that are actually happening. Of course, those are the only events that we're collecting payments on. So here I would choose event status change to definite. I would say that 90% of the time, this is the trigger that I'm going to use if I want to base the task on, X amount of days before the event date, I'm just going to use event status change to definite because it kind of catches everything. It's the event was created, it's definite, it's definitely happening. So that's fine to use that. And then I would do 7 days. So choose event date here, and once I choose event date, then before becomes an option. So 7 days before the event date, and I'd probably just assign that to, like, say it's myself. I'm the one that creates events. I'm the event owner 90% of the time. So I'm going to choose event owner as my smart task assignment, and then I'm done. So I hit save. One thing to note is if you go in and create an automatic task today, it's only going to apply to events that you create after you've created the task. So it's not going to go off for an event that I created 2 weeks ago. It's just new stuff starting from as soon as you create the task. So I hope that helps, Courtney. We can talk more if that didn't get to the point, but hopefully that's a good example for everybody. All right, let's go back into settings here. Another really important thing, or really useful thing, I should say, that I love people to use and I love to encourage people to use is discussion. This is a place where you can create and store email templates that you can use in your discussions with your clients. And it's really nice to have these preloaded responses. I especially find these helpful when I'm responding to a lead. You know, somebody inquires about a date and I take a look and see that I'm available and I want to move forward with this already written out. So you're not writing that same email every day like, hi, Lauren, thanks for inquiring. Yes, I do have space. Here are my menus. You don't have to just type it and type it and type it. You load it in as a template, and then it's just, you know, drag and drop it and select it on your event. It's especially great for when you're working from your phone. As you all know, when you're on your phone, it's just a pain to type out these long emails. There's typos and all that stuff. There's autocorrect. It's a pain. So if I am on the go and I got a lead in, and maybe it's 8 o'clock at night, and I'm just at home watching TV on the couch or wherever I am, I can just click my email template, and that beautiful response goes right in. So let's talk about the different types of templates and how to make them, and then I'll kind of give you an example of how I use one on a discussion. So when you come into settings and email templates, you'll see that there's 4 different types of templates, and those are broken down for specific reasons. The emails that are in there are going to be available to you when you're doing certain things. A general event template is always available when you're having an event discussion. A document template is only available when you're using the shared document feature. So that's like when you're sending the client off the PEO or the contract, you're sharing it with them. When you hit that share button, these templates are available. Lead templates. So these are available when I'm responding to leads. And then payment templates are available when you use the request payment feature in the payments tab. So let's start with the beginning of the booking process. Somebody inquires and I want to respond to that lead. So what I would do here is say lead response. So let me open this up so you can kind of see what they look like here. All right, so here's my simple lead response. First thing you'll notice is these funny little fields with the blue outline that say, you know, dot location, dot name, and all that. What those are is those are merge fields. And what they do is when I go and select this email template, when I'm sending out a discussion, it's going to automatically pull that information. So when I am responding to a lead and the lead's name is Susan Smith, it's going to say, hi, Susan, thanks for inquiring for your event at, you know, Blue Water Restaurant or wherever she's inquired. We have space for your group of 35 people or whatever they've put into their inquiry. It's going to automatically fill that stuff. So that's great. I don't even have to think about what they've asked for. It's just populating in there for me automatically. Of course, in here you can name your templates. You can choose what locations they are available to you. And all you do to edit these and create them is you just start typing. You know, please reach out if you have any questions. And let me know by, you know, and once you get to a place where you want to input one of those fields, so type, when you get to the point where you want to put in the fields, it's a right click, and then your menu pops up with the different fields. So a lead field, first name, last name, nature of event, So if they put in birthday party, like, yeah, we love, and then it pulls in birthday party or company holiday party or whatever they've written in their lead. End time, so there's all of your options. Location fields, those are fields relating to your venue. And the reason those are helpful is, you might want to use the same exact email, whether you're sending it in regards to Blue Water Restaurant or if I'm sending it from Down South BBQ. And the system just knows to say, yes, we'd love to have your group at Down South BBQ. So it just knows what location requested, and it's going to fill that in. So that's more something you would use if you had access to multiple locations and you want the same email templates for all of them. And then, I'm sorry, the user here, current user is yourself. So your name, your email address, all that. So to start one from scratch, really easy. Just click on Add Template, name it. So, maybe quick response. This is going to be a general template. It's only good for Blue Water and Down South. And then I would go in here and I would say, hello. And oh, here's my space where I want to add that person's name. So I'm going to right click, contact fields. When you're in leads, there's just a limited amount of fields because there's only a limited amount of information in a lead. It's just the name, the email address, what they've requested. When you get into an event, there's a lot more fields available because there's just that much more information on an event. So, contact's first name, thanks for inquiring, and so on. I'll make a mention here real quick of the signature at the bottom. If you have your signature turned on in your profile, you don't need to put a signature in the email template because your profile automatically adds that signature on the bottom of your email. It's just like when you're in Gmail or any other kind of email host, it will put your signature in there. So you don't have to do that if you have the profile set up with an email signature. All right, let me see if there's any questions on email templates, and then I'll just show you real quick what it looks like to use one on an event. Okay, so let's see. Ariana has asked, is there a way to auto-populate gratuity? So that's a great question. There's so many fields available, and some of them are financial fields. So let's go back into this. I'm just going to open up this one here. So if I were to put in something like the food and beverage minimum or the rental rate, those are all options too. So I would just right click, and then it's event fields, financials. So you know what, I didn't answer that fully. Financials is where you're going to find rental fee, price per person, deposit amount. Location fields is where you find your billings like gratuity, sales tax, and that's because those things might differ from locations. So if you have 3 locations and everybody's got a different admin fee, it'll pull automatically the correct admin fee for that location. So that's where you find those types of fields. So event, financial, for anything like basically anything you would put on the first page of a booking screen is going to be there. And then anything that pertains to one of your particular venues is under location fields. All right, so let's just go into an event really quick and shoot off an email so you can see how easy that is. So I'm in my event here. In my discussion tab, I want to send out a discussion. So I would just click into the box as if I was typing, but instead of typing, I'm going to click email editor. Make sure my correct contact is checked off here. Anybody else on staff that I'm looping in? I'm going to say default booking email. So there it is. Has the correct date and everything all loaded in there. You can even take this a step further. Maybe on your lead responses, you're going to put pictures of your rooms or links to the page on your own website where all of your event menus live. So you can make these really robust and have lots of information on them, especially when responding to leads. So, in one click, you've said, yeah, we have the date available. Here's my menus. Here's my spaces. Any other info. I mean, I've seen people that have a big email with all the food and beverage minimums. So in just one click, you've given them so much information. Now, I also want to talk about file attachments because that's the next place I wanted to go on the settings was show you about the file library. So when you're sending a discussion, you do have the option to add an attachment, just like a regular email. So files from library. And the file library is really useful because you can put any kind of file in here, pictures, PDFs, Word documents, PNG files, any type of file and anything. So maybe it's a floor plan, maybe it's your sales kit or a menu. And the reason it's helpful is because now you have these files and wherever you are, you can attach these to an email. So you don't have to worry about, okay, am I at my work computer? Do I have it here? Versus do I have this file on my laptop at home, and then also everybody on the team is working from the same copy. So, you know, how many times do you guys all have different computers and somebody has a draft of the menu that you thought you were going to use, but somebody else, you know, your chef made a tweak to it and now that menu's wrong. So that's one reason I really like it, is because it keeps everybody using the same stuff. And what you can do is organize your stuff into different folders. So menus, floor plans, any other kind of attachment that you have people fill out, you can put it on there. So the way you can get a file into that library is you just go to settings and file library, and then you would choose upload, and then you just drag and drop your files from your computer in there. So I just had a question from Susan. How do you edit your signature? Great question. So it's actually not in your settings, it's in your profile. Whether they're an admin user or not. So in your profile, email signature. So mine is set up as merge fields, right? So if you haven't done anything specifically, this is what you're going to have, you know, if your account was created recently. So you've got this email signature. And the reason it's merge fields is because this is helpful for people that are working at different locations. So, you know, if I'm responding to a lead that came in for Blue Water Restaurant and I send out an email, the system knows to put my Blue Water logo, my Blue Water address, and all that stuff. So it looks like, hey, this is Lauren from Blue Water. Whereas if I'm sending it from Down South BBQ, it knows to put the information from Down South BBQ. So great for people that send emails on behalf of different venues, but there's why you can't just plug in text here. You know, if you have, like, say you have an email signature on your regular email, your Gmail, your Outlook that you really like, just copy and paste it right in here. It can certainly just be text. And then can you have individual email templates by user was another question from Christy. So yes, that's a great question. So in your settings, if you go into your settings and create an email template, it's going to be available to anybody on your team that has access to the location that you made it available for. So if I made a discussion email template for Blue Water Restaurant, then everybody at Blue Water can use that. If there's any email templates that are just for your own use that you don't want to share for whatever reason, you can load them in under My Profile. So if you go to My Profile and email templates, it's the exact same structure: events, document, lead, or payment emails. The only difference is that these are not going to show up for everybody. They're just going to show up for you. And when you want to use them in the discussion tab, it is email editor. And then instead of finding it over here under email templates, you'd find it under your email templates, and nobody else would see those. Any other email discussion template, signature, profile kind of questions before we go on? All right, I think that's it on those. So like I said, I'm not going to go into documents and menus right now because that's a whole nother webinar in and of itself that we'll do next week, and I hope you'll join me for that one. But let's skip through that and just call out a few more items on the settings page here. I know it's a lot of info for one sitting, but let me just bring to your attention a couple things that you could be utilizing if you aren't already. Lead form. So this is the form that can go up on your website, most likely, you know, your own website or any other place online where you want to have it. Let's look at one of these. And what it is it's a place where a potential client can put in their contact information and the details on what they're looking to do for an event with you. And when they hit submit, anyone on your team that's set up to receive leads will get an email notification. It shows up on the dashboard for everybody. And then this client gets an automatic email letting them know that their request was received and that you'll be reaching out. So this is a great thing to put on your website. You can actually embed this right onto your own website. So that's what a lot of people do is we send you off the code for your lead form and your web person embeds it right onto your site. So it looks naturally as if it's a part of your site with your colors and text and branding and everything. Looks great. Feeds the info right into Tripleseat. But there is also the option to just use this external form here. What a lot of people will also do is they'll take the URL for this. So this particular web page that we're looking at, it has its own URL. And I can take that and I can put it anywhere. I can put it on my Twitter. I can put it out in a tweet. I can put it out in a constant contact email blast. I can put it in my LinkedIn profile or my Instagram bio or anything at all where any place online where you think that somebody might hear about your event spaces and want to put in an inquiry. So that's a really useful tool. You know, just think about if you can capture even a couple of leads a year from this, then, you know, that's like your Tripleseat subscription cost right there. So if you're not utilizing this, go ahead and use it. There's no additional cost to use it or anything. So just have it set up on your website or if you don't have someone to do the website, just put the link anywhere you want and you'll start getting leads right away. So that is a lead form. And then the other place there that you can put yourself out there to get more business inquiries is your public listing. So that is your listing on the Tripleseat venue directory. Now our venue directory gets a lot of hits on Google search. So if people are, say, Googling event spaces in Boston, Mass, or wherever they are, the Venues by Tripleseat site will show up as an option, and they click on it and they come and they find venues. So let's take a look at what one of these looks like. Or actually, let me actually pull up the whole site for you guys. So this can get set up when your account first gets created, but I will show you how to edit it on your own or update it if you want to update. You can just pull up the whole site here so that you guys can see it. So here's the venue, our venue directory. So if I'm in Boston, I can type in Boston, or I can type in bowling alley or something specific and find my venues. So it's searching, and here's all Tripleseat customers in that area. And then what somebody can do is click on you, read more about you, and put in an inquiry. So the exact same inquiry form that we looked at just a moment ago, they'll be able to do that right here on the website. And then it gets sent to you the same way. You get an email saying a new lead has come in. You get notified via email. You can take the lead right from your dashboard and convert it right into an event. So if you want to be on there and you are not already, or you want to update what's on there, you are in your settings page. You're at public listings, and then edit. And what I would do here is upload photos, put in a description of the venue. And then I've also got these detail boxes I can check off. So cuisine type, price range, dining style, all this stuff is going to help you get more hits when people are looking for venues, as much info as you can give. I can put links, and then I can put specific pictures of my rooms and a little bit more description of a room. So say I want to say, okay, this room has, you know, 2 55-inch TVs. It has its own, you know, private bathroom. It has this, it has that. So you can go into a lot of detail there, which of course is going to help you get more hits. So let's see, any questions on lead forms or public listings? Okay, so far none on those. And the last place I want to bring you today is and integrations. This is where you can link up. There's a few programs that we have integrations built in for, so you can link up your account with another program. And I'll kind of go through them here and tell you how they work. So Facebook. The integration with Facebook is it puts that lead form that we just talked about, it puts it on your Facebook page. So if you come in here and follow these steps, what it's going to do is create a tab on your Facebook business page that says, you know, private events or dining or inquiry or whatever you want it to say, and it has that little form there. So people that are, you know, so many people use Facebook to find restaurants, find things to do, find places to have events, read reviews. And so then they don't even have to leave that channel to inquire with you. You know, you're asking a lot for someone to say they saw it on Facebook, but now they have to go online and find you. Sometimes people just won't do it. So they are right there on Facebook, they stay there, and you capture the lead. Constant Contact, MailChimp. If you do email marketing and you have an account with either one of these companies, you can link those up. And so Constant Contact, for example, what that will do is anytime you have a new contact email address in Tripleseat, so say somebody books an event with you and you plug them in as a contact, every night it syncs up the contact. So if it detects a new contact, it's going to send it to your Constant Contact mailing list, which is great. You know, they did an event with you for a graduation party, and now they're going to be on that promotional mailer that you're sending out for holiday parties or whatever it might be. Same, and MailChimp and Fishbowl are very similar. Google and Outlook. So calendars, if you're using another calendar like a Google Calendar or Outlook or iCal, and you want all of the events that you put into Tripleseat to show up there, you follow these directions here. So you're syncing up your calendar. It's just a one-way sync. So it's just that anything I'm putting into my Tripleseat calendar, like, you know, 200-person buyout on Saturday the 25th, that's going to show up on my Google Calendar. It's not going to take anything from that other calendar and put it into Tripleseat. So you don't have to worry about like your personal calendar events going into Tripleseat for your whole team to see. It's just a one-way street. So it's going to put that information out, and that'll sync automatically too. So you just have to set that up one time, and then it will continuously sync up the events. So those are the major things that I want to point out to you. Those are like the tools that, you know, maybe you're not utilizing or you didn't know about that you can go today and start using and implement and get benefits from. The stuff that we didn't talk about is other settings that probably just got created for you upon your account creation, and you don't really need to use those every day. But if I didn't cover something that somebody was specifically hoping to hear about, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can email support@tripleseat.com with your question, or maybe you just want, you know, you saw something today and you do want to implement it, but you have a question. Go ahead and email support@tripleseat.com. Support@tripleseat.com is our email address. And then you've also got this help and questions button up here in the upper right. So click on that if you want help. Lots of resources in here for you. Chat online. So if you want to ask a question to an agent, start up a chat with us. So that's right away they'll get back to you. They're online right now, ready to answer your question. Other webinars that you can sign up for. So more in this series of Beyond Basics, which is just like, you know, more in-depth looks at some of the features, but there's also new user training. So if somebody on your team, like we talked about, getting as many people on your team as possible on here, go ahead and just have them watch a new user training. You've got FAQs, there's guides and video tutorials, and then if all else fails, just submit a help ticket. That's just the same thing as sending an email to support@tripleseat.com, and we'll get right back to you with an answer on that too. So please reach out to us. We want to help you get all this stuff off the ground if you want to use any of it. If you're not, that's why we're here. So don't hesitate to reach out. And also, if there's anything that you want to hear more about, or any topic at all in Tripleseat that you would listen to a webinar on, please let me know, because I'm always looking for suggestions on what we can talk about next. So all right, I think that's it for today. So have a great day.